Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tales and Thrills. Today we re-howling at the moon and diving deep into one of the most iconic horror films of the 1980s, An American Werewolf in London, 1981. This movie is legendary for its groundbreaking special effects, dark humor, and a tragic love story wrapped in a bloody nightmare. It's a film that doesn't just deliver horror. It defines it for a generation. So let's break down the story, the kills, the transformation, and the terrifying legacy it left behind. We begin in the cold, windswept Yorkshire moors of England. Two American college students, David Kessler and Jack Goodman, are backpacking through Europe. Their journey seems innocent enough. Two friends exploring the world, joking around and looking for adventure. But right away, the tone shifts as they arrive at a remote village and enter a small pub ominously named The Slaughtered Lamb. Inside, the locals are tense, their stares sharp. A strange pentagram is carved into the wall, surrounded by candles. When David and Jack ask about it, the mood turns icy. The bartender warns them to stick to the road and stay off the moors. This warning is the first sign that they've walked into a place haunted by something ancient and dangerous. Outside, the fog is thick. The night is dark and distant howls echo across the moors. They've strayed from the road. And then it happens. A sudden, brutal attack, unseen at first, only sounds of snarls and tearing flesh. Jack is mauled to death by a massive creature. David tries to help, but he's knocked unconscious as the beast lunges for him. A gunshot rings out. The villagers have finally intervened, shooting the monster dead. But it's too late. Jack is gone. David is left scarred, and something ancient has been passed on to him through the creature's bite. David wakes up in a London hospital. His memories are fragmented, but one thing is clear. Something isn't right. He's visited by the ghost of Jack, his best friend, who now appears bloodied and decaying. Jack calmly explains the situation. David has been bitten by a werewolf and is now cursed to become one himself at the next full moon. Jack is trapped in a kind of undead limbo, forced to wander the earth until the werewolf bloodline is ended. The only way for Jack to rest in peace is for David to die. It's a brutal truth delivered with eerie calmness, mixing horror with dark comedy. A tone this movie nails perfectly. Meanwhile, David grows close to Alex Price, a compassionate nurse who takes care of him at the hospital. Their relationship builds slowly, providing emotional warmth amidst the growing darkness. Alex doesn't believe in Jack's ghostly warnings, but David is plagued by disturbing visions, running through forests naked, attacking deer, and flashing glimpses of his own monstrous form. One of the most famous sequences in the film, and in horror history, begins when David is finally discharged from the hospital and moves into Alex's flat. That night, the full moon rises. David writhes in agony as his body begins to twist, stretch, and transform. His hands elongate, bones snap, hair sprouts, his face contorts into the snout of a wolf. This isn't a quick off-screen transformation. It's shown in painstaking practical detail, a visual feast of practical effects created by the legendary Rick Baker. The scene lasts several minutes, making the audience feel every ounce of David's suffering. It's gruesome, it's iconic, and it's why this movie is remembered as a masterclass in practical horror effects. Fully transformed, David goes on a murderous rampage across London. His victims don't even see him coming. A couple walking in the park are ambushed. A man on the escalator of the London Underground hears a growl and turns to see the massive beast stalking him. These kills are swift and savage, but the film is careful not to rely on blood alone. It builds atmosphere, suspense, and terror before each strike. By morning, David wakes up naked in the wolf enclosure of the London Zoo, disoriented, covered in blood, and with no memory of what he's done. As David tries to piece things together, Jack reappears, now in a more advanced state of decay, accompanied by the ghosts of David's victims. They plead with him to end his life and stop the bloodshed. Jack's dark humor keeps the scene strangely light, but the underlying tragedy is inescapable. David is not in control of his fate. He is doomed to become a killer again with the next full moon. The police get involved as reports of the mysterious killing spread. David tries to turn himself in, shouting in public that he's a werewolf, but no one believes him. The authorities think he's suffering a mental breakdown. Even Alex struggles to accept the truth, though she loves him deeply. As the full moon approaches once again, David runs away, desperate to avoid hurting anyone else. But fate is cruel. On a crowded London street, David transforms again, this time in the middle of Piccadilly Circus. Chaos erupts. The werewolf slaughters pedestrians, crashes into cars, sends buses careening through the streets. The sequence is frenetic and horrifying, blending shocking gore with large-scale panic. This is one of the few werewolf films that places its monster in the heart of a modern city, making the terror feel immediate and real. Police corner the werewolf in an alleyway. Alex pushes through the officers, begging David to hear her. For a moment, the beast pauses, its glowing eyes fixed on her. But it's too far gone. A single gunshot ends the chaos. David falls, returning to human form in death. The film ends not with relief, but with brutal finality. A quick cut, a pop song, and the credits roll. The abruptness leaves the audience stunned, just like a good horror should. Now let's talk about the kills in An American Werewolf in London. While the body count isn't astronomical, each death is memorable because of how it's staged and shot. Jack's death on the moors sets the brutal tone. The later kills in London, the couple in the park, the underground passenger, and the carnage in Piccadilly build intensity and scale. The werewolf's victims become part of Jack's ghostly entourage, their presence a constant reminder of David's curse. The film doesn't glorify the kills. It shows them as tragic consequences of a curse no one can control. The transformation scene deserves its own spotlight. At the time of its release, this sequence changed horror filmmaking forever. No CGI, no shortcuts, just raw physical effects, perfect lighting, and incredible acting from David Naughton. The screams, the popping bones, the stretching skin, it all feels real, which makes David's fate feel even more horrifying. It's the moment the audience fully realizes there's no coming back for him. Thematically, An American Werewolf in London explores the loss of control, the thin line between humanity and monstrosity, and the cruelty of fate. David isn't a villain. He's a tragic figure. The love story between him and Alex adds emotional weight, making the ending hit even harder. His inability to escape the curse mirrors the film's use of humor, brief, sharp, but ultimately swallowed by darkness. The film also stood out because it blended comedy and horror in a way that hadn't been done quite like this before. Jack's ghostly appearances are gruesome, yet weirdly funny. The film uses pop songs like Blue Moon to undercut horrific moments, creating a tonal contrast that makes the terror sharper. It's a technique many horror films would later adopt, but few would do it as effectively. In terms of legacy, this film became a turning point in creature effects. It won the first-ever Academy Award for Best Makeup, cementing Rick Baker's reputation as a legend. Its werewolf transformation influenced countless films and shows that came after. Even decades later, filmmakers cite it as the gold standard for practical horror effects. And in the world of horror fans, the film remains a beloved classic, equal parts scary, funny, and heartbreaking. The kill count isn't huge, but every death is impactful. Jack Goodman, mauled by the werewolf on the moors. The original werewolf, shot by the villagers. Park couple, killed during David's rampage. Underground passenger, stalked and killed. Multiple victims during the Piccadilly Circus chaos. David Kessler, shot by police to end the curse. That's a total of around 10 deaths, depending on how you count the collateral damage during the final rampage. But more than numbers, It's the execution that makes these kills unforgettable. The film's ending is both tragic and poetic. David dies as the monster, but the moment he's shot, he becomes human again, silent, vulnerable, and finally free. The abrupt credits leave us hanging in the shock of that moment. It's not a victory. It's a necessary loss. Jack's soul is finally freed, but the cost is unbearable. From a kill count perspective, An American Werewolf in London delivers tension, brutality, and emotional weight. It's not a slasher. It's a curse story. Every kill feels like a ripple from that single bite on the moors. The first howl set everything into motion, and it ends only when David's story does. So why does this movie still stand out today? Because it doesn't just rely on scares. It crafts a world that feels real. It gives us characters we care about. It mixes humor with horror in perfect balance. And most importantly, it gives us a monster that's both terrifying and tragically human. That's the magic of werewolf horror at its best.